Hi, everybody. Bob Marquis here from T Shadow and Company. Hey, we're starting a new series. We're calling it the 2020 video series since it's obviously 2020. This is episode 1, and we thought we would start at the beginning and deal with safety first. So, first thing I want to talk about is personal safety, all right? Obviously, there's certain things that we need to do to make this hobby a little bit safer or as safe as we can be. First thing, no jewelry. So take off the ring, no bracelets or dangling bracelets or necklaces or anything like that, and take off the watch. So there we go. We'll just set that over there for now. Then the other thing, no long sleeve shirts. Now the exception to this is if you have an elastic sleeve on a tight-fitting shirt so that the sleeves aren't flopping, but they do make some turning smocks that are made to be long-sleeved. And I know I used to turn in just a hoodie sweatshirt that I'd zip up all the way, and that elastic held everything nice and tight and kept everything off your arms. So I've got a good friend that's allergic to certain woods, and it's so having a long sleeve makes it possible for him to actually enjoy turning a little bit more because he's not having the nasty allergic reaction to that. All right, number 3, you always want to wear real shoes, no flip-flops in the shop, and you want to wear long pants. Sometimes you drop things, and, tools are sharp, and wire brushes, sometimes, you drop one of them and it scrapes your leg on the way down. You don't want to deal with this stuff. So just wear long pants and real shoes. Don't necessarily have to wear socks, though. All right. The next item on our safety list is safety glasses. Now, this is a pair that we sell here at T Shadow. They got our name on them here, so everybody knows that you're a follower of T Shadow and Company. These are very good optical glasses. I unfortunately have to wear prescription glasses, but they look halfway decent when you're wearing them. They cover all the way around your eyes, sides, and everything, and they're very, very clear. They're somewhat anti-reflective, not great at that, but they're not bad. But very, very decent safety glasses, and they're dirt cheap. But make sure you have a good pair of safety glasses, or at least your regular glasses. These are plastic lenses, by the way. And then a face shield. Holy moly, some little kids have been wearing this. So now you need the face shield. Of course, we're going to lift that up so we can hear. But that's it. The safety glasses do you no good if something comes off the lathe and comes up and smacks you in the nose or smacks you in the face. You got to have the face shield too. Face shield all by itself doesn't necessarily help you with the dust and the particles that are floating around. So you need, you need both. Just do it. It's not that big a deal. You'll get used to it. Then the last item, well, not the last item, but the next item is a dust mask or respirator. This one is called a Respirator. And I really like this thing. The filters are here, and it goes around your head like this. Just don't breathe out your nose, and it's good to go. It breathes here, back behind you so that what you're stirring up isn't being sucked into the filters right away, and it exhausts out the bottom. It does not fog up the glasses or the face shield. Like I say, I really like this one. These are available at a number of places. Hartville Hardware has them on their website. I'm pretty sure Woodcraft has them. A number of places do sell those. I think they're great, and that one's going to last me a while longer. I've got a new face mask, a Fresh Air Supply face mask on its way, and that's the way I'm going to go with that. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is... well, actually, it's not the last thing, but somehow he missed it in the screen. Earplugs. This is totally up to you. The dust collectors make a lot of noise. If you're using a shop vac as a dust collector, that makes a ton of noise. So if there's something going on, it makes noise. And remember, it doesn't have to be loud. Certain frequencies or a continued frequency over a long period of time, no matter what that frequency is, can be damaging to your hearing. So, throw a pair of earplugs on. And the last item is for those of you with long hair, tie it up. Ladies and kids, I love seeing you guys turn, but let's get the hair up and tied up back behind you. You don't get a second chance with a lathe. There's just no way around it. Get the hair up and out of the way. All right, next item I want to talk about is shop safety. Number one, make sure the area is clean. And by that, I'm not talking about a little bit of sawdust and stuff like that. What I'm talking about is no obstructions around your lathe where you're working. No trips and slip hazard. No extension cords that you can get tangled up in. All that. Just make it as safe an area as you possibly can, free from trips and slip hazards. Number two, light. It's hard to say, but it's almost impossible to have too much light. You got to see what's going on. The only way to be safe is to be seeing everything that's happening in front of you. And then this one gets kind of testy sometime, but no distractions. You shouldn't have your TV on. You can't be turning and watching the ball game or watching the NASCAR race or whatever. No TVs, no pets, no little kids running around in the shop when you're trying to work. It's great to have a kid in the shop sitting up on a stool beside you with a face mask on, watching what you're doing, learning. Get them started young, but don't let them running around where they're going to get in your way, possibly get between you and the lathe. It's just too easy to get hurt. So keep that to a minimum. And then conversations. If your buddies are over and they want to chew your jaw the whole time they're there, leave the lathe turned off, pull up a chair, drink a beer, enjoy it. When you're running power tools is not the time to carry on a conversation. This needs concentration. You need to be on top of your game. We don't want anybody getting hurt out there. All right. Then we come to power tool safety, general power tool safety. And I know that this stuff sounds like it's redundant. You've heard it 1,000 times and all that. And that's a good thing because that means that it's true if you've heard it 1,000 times. I'm going to hear it 1,001. Number one, properly maintain your tools. Keep them clean and lube them as needed. Store them away in the proper place. Inspect the tool before use. Look for loose or broken items and frayed cords. Verify that all guards are in place and are functional. A guard laying on the floor doesn't do you any good when you get stuck in a belt. So make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. Make all adjustments with the power turned off. That goes without saying, but you'd be amazed how many guys, and I know I've caught myself doing this, even moving the banjo in and out. You probably should shut off. For a safety standpoint, you should shut off the lathe, make your adjustment, and then turn it back on. It's just accidents are called accidents for a reason, but unfortunately, sometimes it's stupidity that causes it, not just, whatever the thing is that causes accidents. I don't know. The powers that be, the god of accidents. I don't know. But anyhow, if you can avoid it, let's avoid it. So shut the power off before you make any adjustments. Keep all your hands, which are 2, hopefully, and all your fingers, which are 10, and we want to maintain that way, away from all moving parts. Doesn't matter what tool you're operating, your hand does not belong around any of the moving parts. Keep them away. Always check the sharpness of cutters before starting and touch up as needed. So if you're on a lathe, you want to check your tools, make sure they're sharp. If they're not, sharpen them first. If you're on a saw, check the blade, make sure it's sharp. If not, change the blade to one that is, or sharpen that blade if you're one of those guys. Same way with drill bits. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've seen guys try to push a draw drill bit and have something go wrong. They got to push too hard and they end up snapping the drill bit. Or, the drill doesn't go in where you want it to. It doesn't go straight when you're drilling. So, make sure all your tools are sharp. And now down to the meat. What we actually want to talk about is lathe safety. Okay, number one, of course, is wear all the proper PPE, which is all this stuff. Safety glasses, face shield, hair tied up, a dust mask, a dust collector if you've got one. And even if you have a dust collector that works really good, I'd still recommend, even if it's just one of those paper face masks, because you're talking about microscopic dust particles. And I've read some reviews or some stories about doctors that have done testing, and they go into a room that you haven't even been, no power tool's been turned on in a day, and there is so much microscopic dust still in the air from the day before. And that's the dangerous stuff. It's not the chunks you see flying around that are dangerous to your lungs. It's the microscopic stuff. And they say that wood looks exactly like asbestos inside the lung. Now, is it as carcinogenic as asbestos? Probably not, but some woods are. I've also read that some woods are toxic. Well, I know some woods are toxic. Any redwood is toxic. They say the question of when you're going to have a reaction, or if you're going to have a reaction to redwood, isn't if, it's when. So the more you turn, the more you're around redwood, and that's a family of trees, not just one tree. There's a family of redwoods, and cocobolo is one of the worst as far as being toxic. But it's a question of not if, but when you will have that allergic reaction. Everybody's going to have trouble with it. So let's keep it out of our lungs, deal with it on our hands where we can put something on it, we can wash it off, and we can deal with it. You can't wash out your lungs. So let's try to stay on top of that. Okay, when you actually put a part on the lathe, this is number 2, make sure it's secure between the centers. And if you're using a face plate, make sure it's properly mounted on a face plate. And this means not using drywall screws. When you screw something to your faceplate, use wood screws or sheet metal screws. I use sheet metal screws. I really like the way they go in and out. But do not use drywall screws. Drywall screws are very brittle and they'll snap off and you'll get hurt. So stick with wood screws or sheet metal screws. And then make sure whatever it is, if it's a big ugly hunk of wood that's about to get round and it's not round, remember, it's going to start out of balance. It's going to want to flop around. So make sure you keep the speeds low at the beginning. And as you get it rounder, you can turn the speed up. All right. Number 4, take your time. Don't be in a rush. This is a hobby. We're not doing this for a living as a whole. Some of us are, but it's, some people are. I'm not. I'm doing it as a hobby. So I enjoy what I'm doing. So don't get in a rush. When you get in a rush, you start pushing and trying to cut corners, and that's when accidents happen. Never force the tool. Keep it sharp and let it do the work. You use the tools the way they're designed. Let the sharp edge do the work, and things happen a lot easier. When you're drilling on the lathe, and this is more for pin turners than just about anybody, pins, bottle stoppers, and pepper mills and that sort of stuff. You got a blank mounted on your headstock. You got a tail stock with a chuck in it, a Jacobs chuck, and a drill bit. Well, as you advance that chuck into the wood, you're trusting that Jacobs chuck to hold it, to hold the drill bit, and you're trusting the Morris taper to hold that in the tailstock. Well, the problem is when you go to back out, now you're pulling things apart. This is what I believe to be one of the most dangerous things you can do on a lathe. I've seen pictures of chucks stuck in the drywall behind the lathe. I've seen guys who got a chuck come out and come up and smack them in the face and break a jaw. I've seen fingers mangled. I've seen drill bits bent, blanks explode, all kinds of things. Am I saying don't drill on the lathe? No, I'm saying be careful about how you do it. If you don't have a drawbar, you can still drill on the lathe, but you're going to have to hold the Jacobs chuck with your left hand while you're cranking the tailstock quill feed with your right hand. And when it's fully extended, now you need to get a good hold on it, because now's when it gets tricky as you back it back out. So just keep a hand on it, keep a hold of it. Don't relax your grip. Hold tight. This is very important. Then you can make your adjustments and eventually get drilled through the whole thing. The other choice you have is using a drawbar on your lathe. There's two types of drawbars. One's a fixed drawbar. It is simply a piece of all thread with a nut on the end that clamps in, and you actually move the whole tailstock back and forth. You don't use the quill. Or here at T-Shadow, we have a adjustable drawbar that allows you to advance the quill. That requires, both drawbars require a drill chuck with a threaded Morris taper. They're available in both MT2 and MT1. You can get them, and they'll come with 1/4 inch or 3/8/16 threads in the Morris tapers. And so we make our drawbars for both sizes. We sell 1/2 inch capacity Jacobs chucks with a number 2 Morris taper that accept the 3/8. And that allows you to do your turning and everything, and you don't have to hold the chuck. It's not going to come loose. It makes it a lot easier and a bit safer. But like I say, nothing about power tools is safe. Understand that right off the bat. Power tools are inherently dangerous. We use them because they make life a lot easier, and it just makes our hobby a lot more fun. I can't imagine trying to turn with a treadle lathe. I'm an old fat guy. My legs would run out of space real quick, and that'd have been the end of my turning. But anyhow, the other thing about your lathe is to keep your tool rest at the proper height and the proper distance away from the work. I see guys that are turning and their tool rest is 3 inches away from the work, and if they get a catch, it pulls the tool right out of their hand. That's because you're giving the leverage to the machine. Move the tool rest closer to your work. Your tool rest should be as close to the work as you can possibly get it. And like I say, the number one thing you got to remember is no power tool has a brain. You must use yours. It's just that simple. Nothing is safe. We can't make it 100% safe. We live with the inherent unsafeness of it by trying to do things like this, educate around the safety issues, so you know what you got going in. I mean, if turning on a lathe was inherently safe, my insurance would be a lot cheaper. I mean, my liability insurance would drop because I talked to my insurance agent about this when they quoted me liability insurance. If I dropped the turning tools from my line, my insurance would drop tenfold. Instead of $300 a month, it would be $30 a month. That's how dangerous the insurance company thinks turning is. I mean, you got to think about it. You got a chunk of wood spinning at 3,000 RPM, and you got a razor sharp piece of steel in your hand that you're going to stab it with. I mean, that's oversimplification, but, in the long run, that's what we do. We don't just stab, we work it in there, but, as far as the insurance company's concerned, that's what we do. So, that's it. That's Safety 101, and I think that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to let you know a few little things about overall safety. Like, keep your shop clean, keep your tools sharp, keep your lathe properly adjusted and working properly. Keep the guards on the tools. Wear your PPE. That's the biggest one right there. I mean, if you've got a face shield on and a piece comes off the lathe and it goes up, it's going to hit the shield before it hits you. That's going to slow it down a whole lot. I mean, I'm on Facebook. I belong to 4 or 5 turning groups, and I see guys all the time posting pictures of a broken nose or a busted out tooth or whatever because they weren't wearing a face mask. And then every now and then I see a picture of one and the face mask is laying there, and you look at the quill and he shows it how tore up things are. And the guy says, man, I'm glad I was wearing my face mask. I didn't get nothing out of this. So it's our choice. It's your choice. Be safe about it. Let's have fun. This is a hobby. We're not here to get hurt. We're here to have fun. So take care, guys. We'll see you at the next video.